Welcome to the Reiki Business Collective, where Reiki business owners come together to share information, support one another, and serve the world. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, interviewing and inviting Reiki business owners to join the conversation in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group. Thank you. Welcome to this episode of the Reiki Business Collective. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here speaking with Yoshi. Yoshi Ramanujam began her healing journey through meditation and found her hands pulsing with energy. Once she discovered Reiki, life was never quite the same. Through self-Reiki, she was able to attain a new level of self-compassion that serves as the basis of her Reiki practice and business, SJ Reiki, which she opened on May 8th, 2022, as part of the Wild Ride and Fulfilling Reiki Journey. And she is here to speak with us about the 5 emotional steps to building a successful business. Yoshi, welcome to Reiki Business Collective. So honored to have you here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me, Christian. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. And congratulations to the opening of your business. This is awesome. And we send you great congratulations and well wishes on this awesome achievement. So thank you for being here very much.
Thank you. It's been quite the journey. And happy to share.
Yes, well, Yoshi, please, let's just start by having you tell us a little bit about your Reiki business.
Sure. So I'm in San Jose, California, and I have a home studio, and I also have a studio in Willow Glen. And I just kind of go back and forth between the two.
Wonderful, Yoshi. And you are brand new to being a Reiki business owner. So this is really awesome to have someone so new in their business speaking with us about their experience. And this, no doubt, is going to help many Reiki practitioners, not just those who are contemplating starting a business or who have recently started one, but indeed those who have had their business for many years as well, because you've got some great things to share with us, Yoshi. So please, can you tell us about these 5 emotional steps to building a successful business?
Sure. Yeah, let's dive right in and get started. So the first thing is getting help when you're feeling stuck. So when I first had the idea of starting my business, I told my husband, okay, I'm going to do one thing every day towards starting a business. Like, I wasn't in a hurry. It wasn't like, okay, these are all the things I'm going to do and I'm going to start on this day. It was kind of like, I know this is something I want to do, and I'm going to go for it. And so every day I just did something extra. So I knew that, I would kind of take one step at a time, and I knew where my destination was. But at one point I just kind of got stuck. I couldn't take that next step. There was overwhelm, there was uncertainty, there was fear. And a lot of this step in particular that I'm describing now was the legal stuff, right? The LLC, the sole proprietor, the DBA was kind of overwhelming. And I did a lot of research, but it was still, what am I supposed to do? And so I looked up resources. What are my Reiki resources? Who can help me? Where can I find answers? And in this particular case, I found a Reiki practitioner program that does the exact thing. It gives you more information about how to give Reiki to other people. It encompasses the business side, but also, most importantly, it was a 6-month program with a very small group of Reiki practitioners. And so I would have kind of this very tight-knit support group. And so I contacted my teacher. Actually, my Reiki teacher was the one that was teaching this class. So I contacted him, Christopher Tellez, and he accepted me into the program. And my business went from, one step at a time to just kind of taking leaps into getting started. And so that was an unexpected bonus. Not only did it help me get unstuck, but as I reached out for help, um, I received an abundance of help. Um, so that's the first one, getting help when you're feeling stuck. Um, so create a support system for yourself. It can be family, it can be friends, it can be Reiki community. Also in the Bay Area, I was recently introduced to meetups, and there's groups of metaphysical meetups in the Bay Area that I had no idea about. And it's just wonderful to meet other like-minded people. I mean, I love techies, but they're not, really into Reiki conversations. Um, um,
So,
yeah.
Yoshi, can I ask a question? When you said that things just really, you were starting off with one small step every day, one step after the other, and then you took this program and things just kind of almost like exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Yoshi, what do you think the impetus was for that? What was it about that experience that really helped things to amplify?
Oh, that is a good question. I think when you're feeling supported, you are also more motivated. You're kind of like, wow, I have all these people that are supporting me and really want me to do well. And so now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I really want to get this thing done now. Um, and then things just started falling into place, like the studio that I'm renting in Willow Glen right now. I found it and I fell in love with it and it seemed perfect. And all these other places that I looked at seemed kind of sterile, or, like I would be sharing a space with liposuction, or, like that's not what I wanted my Reiki clients to come into. I wanted them to come into a very peaceful, welcoming, opening kind of Zen space. And I found that, and it was almost like, okay, um, we're actually going to get this started now.
Beautiful, thank you. That's really wonderful. So I hear you saying that number one, get support.
That's right. Number one, get support. Number two, stay just outside of your comfort zone. So, a big step of getting starting a business is getting out of your comfort zone. For me, marketing was a big thing, and also being comfortable accepting money for my services. I think a lot of Reiki practitioners are just kind of like, I just want to heal people and do it for free. Like I don't need money. Um, but when you're starting a business, you do have to make money, right? You're paying for a space, or you're paying for your table, or there are expenses that are occurring. So my sister actually recommended a couple of great books to me that I want to recommend to you as well. So in terms of being comfortable making money, she recommended Secrets of a Six-Figure Woman by Barbara Stanny. And this was empowering for me as a woman. Um, and then also, I'm not planning on making six figures anytime soon, but having the mentality of someone that's kind of like, I'm worth it, right? This is, this is my goal and I can make it happen. Like having that in the back of my head is amazing. And then the other book that my sister recommended was about marketing, and it's How Good Humans Sell by Catherine Brown. And something that a lot of people have issues with is selling products, right? Like you don't want to be seen as a sleazy, like car salesperson, or, those types of things come into mind. And you don't want to bother people. You don't want to go around saying, oh, come to a Reiki session, come to a Reiki session, And so I felt like this book was great in laying that out, saying, yes, this is how people think, but also this is what we actually do. When you're telling people, I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'd like to help you, you are offering your services to them. You're not like knocking on their door and bothering them at inconvenient times, right? The purpose to get the word out there so people understand that you're there to help them. Um, so yeah, so I found myself out of my comfort zone many times. And now when I find myself out of my comfort zone, it's kind of like a pat on the back, like, okay, you're doing good. Um, you're on the right path, instead of like, I don't know if I want to be doing this. Just want to crawl back into my hole. So yeah, another one of my stories is I made up these beautiful flyers and I had fun making them and I was excited about printing them. But as soon as I had them in my hand and I was like, I need to go hand them out, or I need to go find places to put them, I was just like, I'll do it tomorrow, don't want to do it today. I was like, no, I grabbed a very small handful and I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm not going to come back till these are gone. Um, and you know what happened? The first person I met, we chatted for a while, and he called me like 20 minutes later and said, let's book an appointment. And I was floored. And I was like, if I didn't make myself go out there that day at that moment, I would have never met this client. And he's been a regular client since that day. The rest of the flyers probably, whatever. um, but it was worth it to me just to even get that one client. So
Yeah, Yoshi, that's great. So take us to that moment. You're standing there with your flyers and you're saying, I could do this tomorrow. But internally, there was this, no, you are going to go do it now. What was where did that come from, Yoshi? And how can others get that voice inside themselves to get going to hang those flyers and pass them out?
yeah, so I was holding the flyers, and your brain does a good job of saying, don't do that. You don't have to do it today. Take a break. You've worked so hard. And I remember just, I was holding the flyers um, in my room and just having this raging debate in my head. And it was like, well, what if I do it tomorrow? And I checked my schedule and it was like, no, can't do it tomorrow. I was like, what about the next day? And I checked my schedule. No, can't do it the next day, and I have to do it before May 8th, right? The grand opening is May 8th. And so it was like, today's the day. If you don't do it today, you're never going to do it, right? So it was kind of like I backed myself into a corner almost, right? All right, you have to do it today. You're never going to do it. It's like, all right, fine, So I didn't grab all my flyers, right? I just grabbed a stack and it was like, you can do this many. And I was so excited. I think when I handed out the last one, I was like, you get my last flyer for the day, and she was excited and I was excited. And yeah, there were moments in between where, people don't really like to get flyers and, some people are interested, some people aren't. Um, but yeah, actually, for the most part, that ended up being a generally positive experience. So,
That's great. And Yoshi, I want to ask this question for our listeners, especially because so often, once people have had a Reiki business for a number of years, they might forget what things were like when they were first starting out. But we have the great privilege of having you here with us, Yoshi, who has all of these things fresh in mind. So thank you. Tell us, where did you pass out your flyers and how did you go about that?
so these flyers I did in Willow Glen because my Reiki studio is on kind of a really cute downtown strip of Willow Glen. So I just kind of walked around downtown, and there are not very many places to hang flyers anymore because I feel like that would have been easier. um, so yeah, so I just went out there and, like I said, the first person I talked to, we actually chatted and, he was saying, oh, I'm a painter and oh, I've, always been interested in this type of stuff. And it was great to have that positive connection to start my process of handing out flyers, especially since I was just so hesitant. I made myself go out there, but it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be great. It was like, no, you're going out there today. So I'm just walking out there with these flyers telling myself, I have to get these out today. And then to have that initial first positive interaction just kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. And it was okay.
Yes, that's awesome, Yoshi. Thank you. So, getting outside of your comfort zone, that sounds definitely like being outside of one's comfort zone. So, thank you for that. So, we've got getting help, asking for support, and getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yes. All right. And the next one is positive mentality. So, talking about our brains, it's really good at saying, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. Are you even going to be successful? Is anyone even interested in what you're doing? You have all this negative self-talk, which of course just there's no stop, right? You can't be like, I'm not listening to you anymore. You got to stop. And even if you stop listening to it, it's still there somewhere, right? So I found what helped was my teacher had me recite a manifest daily, like a positive manifest. I think mine was something like, starting immediately, I will have 6 paying clients per week who want to work with me. So this was my daily mantra. And, we had kind of a way of saying it in terms of including the Reiki energy in the manifest. So for about 10 to 15 minutes per day, I call it my 10 to 15 minutes of positivity, right? So for 10 to 15 minutes per day, I could only focus on my intention, on my manifest. And after that 10 to 15 minutes, I tell you, my mind was buzzing with ideas. It was like, okay, if this is going to happen, your website needs to be user friendly. It needs to be able to, people need to come to your website, know what's going on, and be able to sign up, right? You need to have all the materials ready for when they come. You need to have a table. You might need to have multiple sheets, right? Because we're having multiple clients per day. You can't just have one sheet. And so my brain would just kind of be like, okay, if this, we need to prepare for this. And so then I would get into this, action of doing and what needs to be done instead of spending the day being like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I need to get extra sheets. What if I don't need them? It was like, no, my brain was kind of like, okay, this is going to happen. This is what needs to be done. And so I found out I couldn't do my 10 to 15 minutes of positivity at night because I would just stay up all night working. Um, so yeah, I would do it in the morning. And then I'd have all day to get just stuff that I was inspired to do.
I love that, Yoshi. And Yoshi, are you still doing that, or was that just in the startup phase of your business?
So I did that for 30 days. So that was during the startup phase. I am going to do it again, but I am not doing it right now. And we'll go into why, in the next step, which maybe we'll segue into. So the next one after positive mentality is working on your work-life balance. And so that is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to figure out the balance between my Reiki practice. I have 2 young children and my personal life. And at first it was kind of like, oh, if I'm just seeing Reiki clients all day, I'll feel so fulfilled. And it is fulfilling, but I need time to recharge myself, right? When you're healing others, it's wonderful, but you also need to recharge. Um, and also, it doesn't replace social interactions with friends, right? Because clients come in, they tell you things. And for me, my goal is to hold space for them, hold a Reiki space for them. So when they're saying, oh my gosh, this is my life and my husband did this, I'm not going to jump and be like, oh my gosh, me too. Let me tell you my story. This happened to me yesterday, right? Like I'm not going to just, we're not going to have this banter and chit chat. Like for me, I like to create a calm, compassionate, caring space where they can come in and, I receive what they're saying and then I give them Reiki. And so I found that I need to make sure that I'm having time to socialize. I'm trying to make sure that I have time to recharge, go on my nature walks, do my Qigong practice, um, and then also have time for my children because they're young and they still need me. Um, and then of course I'm married, so I have a partner, and and but and also have a great Reiki practice. And so I'm lucky that my Reiki practice isn't, um, you know, this isn't what my family lives on, right? Like I don't need to make X amount of money. I do need to make X amount of money to survive, but I don't need to make X amount of money to put food on the table. And so it was wonderful to have 6 clients per week for a whole month. It was validating. It made me feel like, oh my gosh, people do want my services. This was wonderful. It felt wonderful, but also at the same time was very draining. And at the end of the month, it was kind of like, I need a break from all this. I need to slow down. And so that's where I'm at. I think before I start manifesting, I feel like I need to know what I want to manifest, what I want my practice to look like. So that is, life is a big juggling act.
Yes, Yoshi, you have such a really good point right here with that idea of the vision in order to then bring it into being. You had that vision of 6 clients per week. And now that you've been able to move forward with that, now you're wondering, well, what's the next vision before you start moving forward towards it. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks for sharing that. That's really great. And Yoshi, do you have any other tips on finding and maintaining a work-life balance when you do have a full life and you are a Reiki business owner?
Yeah, so I think this is something that you find out as you go along, right? I thought I can handle 6 Reiki clients per week, like it's not that much, right? And I think if I was just seeing clients, that would be okay. But having my own practice, meaning I'm also in charge of, website upkeep and marketing and, all the finances that go, all the behind the scenes stuff. That also adds up on hours as well. So, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to find out what works for me. I'm going to kind of sit down and come up with a number and say, okay, this is my next goal. And I'm going to go for that goal. And then, after a month, I'll probably reevaluate. Was that a good balance? Can I handle more now? Do I need to pare back a little bit? And if so, what does that mean? What do I need to adjust? So it's an ongoing problem. I don't want to say problem. It's an ongoing balancing act.
Yes, yes. Thanks for that great point, Yoshi. And I think that you bring up another really important point that oftentimes maybe people don't consider when they're considering starting a Reiki business is that oftentimes we look at it in terms of our client interactions and we see that as quote work. but we don't factor in all of the other stuff that we need to do, like, the accounting aspects, making sure that we're on top of the finances, that we're paying the bills and all of the other things, the technology that goes along with it. And so thanks for this great point, Yoshi, because oftentimes when we start a Reiki business, we're just thinking of it in terms of the work equals working with clients. And there's a lot more to it than that. So thanks.
Oh, yes, there is.
So Yoshi, before we move on to your other tips for success, I'm positive that there are some people out there listening who are saying, okay, wait a minute. Yoshi is new. She went out and she handed out flyers, and now she has 6 clients a week. How did she do that? So Yoshi, like, other than handing out the flyers, how have you been able to get 6 clients a week as a brand new business owner?
That is a great question. I still am marveled at that myself. So, part of, I guess I haven't told you the whole story. Part of my journey in starting a Reiki business was we have something called a Buy Nothing community. I think each city has one, but not each city is active in it. So we have a Buy Nothing community. And as the pandemic was kind of opening up, I said, it's been a crazy couple of years. I would love to offer, 2 Reiki sessions to my Buy Nothing community for free. And, that's another one of those outside your comfort zone thing, right? Because this is to my neighborhood community, and I didn't know if Reiki was going to be accepted or not. I was just like, people are going to kind of laugh and whatever, not even see my post. But what ended up happening was it was very popular. A lot of people were like, oh, throw my name in the hat. I'd love to be considered. And then I also got private messages that were like, do you have a business? Can I pay for your services? I'm not interested in having a free session. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like I was blown away. And so that was another motivating factor to get my business started. And so when I started my business, I didn't post it to the Buy Nothing community, but we have another community page that is about businesses. So I posted there, and I'm sure people are on both the Buy Nothing and the community page because it's the same community. And I got a lot of clients from there as well. I think a couple were from word of mouth because I was also doing Reiki on friends for free for a while, right? And then I just had a random Google search people that came in. So yeah, it was, and then a couple people came in multiple times, and that helps. So they weren't all 6 brand new per week. That would have been hard.
Well, but this is really great, Yoshi. So thanks very much for sharing those methods with us. It's wonderful encouragement. So thank you. So we've got, okay, your recommendations to get help, to stay outside of your comfort zone, to stay with that positive mindset, to have a work-life balance, and what are your other tips for us, Yoshi?
So the last one is have self-compassion. Making mistakes is part of the journey. And also I want to include in that is you don't have to have everything lined up before you get started. I remember, I'd throw some balls up in the air, and instead of just waiting for them to land, I would just go on to the next thing. And I would hope that when the balls came down, they would land in the right place. And so, I remember when I did my website, it took me like a whole month of just working on it whenever I could. And it was the bare basics. Like it was, I'd look at it and be like, cringe and be like, I want to change that and I want to change that. I'm still like that. I still go to my website and I'm just like, oh, I wish that could be better, right? Um, but it was kind of like, no, it's out there. The basic information is on the website. They know, where to find me. They know what services I offer. They can sign up, right? That's all I need. It doesn't have to be perfect. Throw it out there. And so, and then I think as you go along, you can, um, what's the word? You can just make it better. You can make fine tune adjustments as you go along. You can adjust here and there. You can say, oh, I think it'll be better this way. And so, you know, I mean, it would be nice to be like, oh, I've built a website, it's done, I'll never have to touch it again. No, no, no. It's almost like, okay, what part of the website needs to be tackled with today? So,
Yes, I agree, Yoshi. I think that, that's it's definitely one of the things where you go to it, you look at it and you say, oh man, I need to fix this. I need to fix that. Oh no, I need to change this or that. Yes, for sure. And I'm sure there are plenty of listeners out there nodding their heads right now and saying, I know, me too. So Yoshi, how does self-compassion come into that updating of the website?
I think I have a part of me that's very judgmental, like, oh, this isn't good enough, or this needs to be better, or, like this other thing should have been in place already, or, um, I guess part of the thing of not having all the ducks in the row, right, creates a little bit of chaos. And, when little things go wrong, whether they're your fault or not your fault, right? Because life is life. Um, just being able to take a step back and say, it's okay, it happens, right? Like, no one died, no one was hurt. It might have only been something that only I noticed, right? But I'm being hard on myself. And so it's like, no, it's okay, right? You can let it go. You can fix it so next time it won't bother you. Um, I think one of one of the things I hate doing is, um, if I'm running late and I get to my Willow Glen studio maybe like 10 minutes early, versus 30 minutes before my appointment, and the client's already there. And to me, like, I hate that. Like, I want to be there before them. I want to have everything set up and, for me to have grounded and kind of have this space ready. And, sometimes I'm just like, oh, I hope they arrive, right on time instead of 10 minutes early. But, it's happened where, I walk in with them and, like, inside, I'm just like, oh, I should have been here earlier, like, I'm not as prepared as I want to be, and this is not professional. I'm just kind of like harping on myself, um, while on the outside having a pleasant conversation with my client, right? While walking in. Um, and it's okay for me to say, would you like a glass of water? I just need a couple minutes to set everything up. And, in my mind, it's like, no, you shouldn't have to say that. You should everything should be ready, regardless of when they come. And, that little perfectionist voice in my head. Um, but, like, we had a great session. Everything ended up fine. And so it's good to have self compassion in the moment where you're kind of yelling at yourself. I mean, afterwards, definitely as well. But I find that if I try and bring in the self compassion sooner, right, to just kind of be like, it's okay that you walked in at the same time as your client. Um, and then it's just that much easier to dissipate, right? I guess before my sessions, I just kind of let go of everything, right? Because you don't want to bring your own issues into the session. But if the less you have to let go of before a session, the better. So self-compassion, just constantly, day in, day out, every minute, every second. Um, yeah, and self-compassion is great. I want to go on a little self-compassion rant because I found that as I give myself self-compassion, I see myself giving compassion towards my kids. I see myself being more compassionate towards my friends, um, my husband, neighbors, and then even strangers, right? You're allowed to just kind of open up a little bit. And through self-compassion, I've kind of realized I don't have to have this like hard shell around me. I don't have to carry around all my armor. Um, because I don't have to be perfect, or I don't have to listen to all the judgmental things that my brain is telling me. You can let down the armor and just kind of say, oh, I messed up, but it's okay, right? It's okay to have compassion for yourself. And then when you see other people mess up, you don't have to like really get mad at them either. It's kind of like, oh, I get it, right? um, so so yeah, for me, Reiki and self-compassion is almost synonymous. And I've just kind of seen how Reiki has transformed my life. And this is why I am here as a Reiki practitioner.
Yes, that is beautiful, Yoshi. Thank you so much. So, Yoshi, out of all of those great tips that you've given us, I know that you just talked very passionately about compassion, but what would you say, in your estimation, is the most important one? So if someone is listening and they're saying, wow, that's a lot of really great stuff, but which one is the most important one? Which one, Yoshi, do I focus on the most? What do I do right now? Or even, how do I get into any of these? Help me out.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of which one has helped me the most. I think it's the getting help. I think it's easier to be positive when you have a support system. Um, it's easier to, I don't even think I could have started a business without a support system. Um, and it's hard to get out of your comfort zone, right, when you're not feeling supported. And so yeah, I'm going to say, don't be afraid to get help when you're feeling stuck, right? Don't be afraid to reach out and just, I have a few Reiki practitioner and Reiki masters now that I can reach out to with questions. But at the beginning, it was so intimidating, right? Like, am I in a position to ask them questions? And the first time I think I reached out to one of my Reiki masters, I was like, I have these questions. Is it okay to ask you? I can pay you for your time. And she was kind of like, oh, just bring me a, a mocha latte or something, like, oh, just bring me a latte. We'll chat for a little bit. And that was so heartwarming for me to receive that type of positive support. Um, I think I'm used to like, tit for tat, like, oh, you give me this, I'll give you that type of deal. And so, yeah, I'm really just thankful for the Reiki community. I found so many wonderful people, including you, Christian.
Oh, thank you, Yoshi, so much. And it's been an honor to meet you as well, and to just be able to learn from you. We are, as you said, always learning, and so much to learn. And so thank you, Yoshi, for all of this great information that you have brought us today. So finally, if people want to get a hold of you, want to get in touch with you, how do they do that? And is there anything else that you would like to add?
Sure. So my website is sjreiki.com. The SJ stands for San Jose. And my email address is Yoshi, Yoshi, at sjreiki.com. As for parting words, I've used this a lot, so I think I'll share. So when things get rough and you want to throw in the towel, pause for a moment and remember why you're doing all this in the first place, right? So at times I just get this high, like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm being called to do. It's so wonderful to be in alignment. And then some days it's just like, this is so much work. I'm overwhelmed. It's not worth it, right? And so what I do is I pause and I just kind of say, so why am I doing this, right? Why am I even here? Why did I even start this? And I almost get into a meditative state, right? You just sit and you stop. You just kind of let all that crazy thoughts that are swirling around, you just let it go. And you just kind of sit and you go internal and you say, like, okay, I have a Reiki practice, and see how that feels within you. And if there's not that light, I don't know if light is the right word. There's not that like fire that gets kindled in your, innermost self. Then it's like, oh, maybe that isn't my calling anymore. Luckily, it's always still there. Like I just kind of have to let go of all the stuff that's on the surface and settle in, and be like, okay, it's still there, right? My desire to have a practice is still there, and you just kind of sit with that for a minute. And I think in the future, if that doesn't happen, if I sit and that fire isn't there, I think the question is, well, what am I being called to do? I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, you're not a Reiki practitioner anymore. It might be like, what needs to change? What do I need to be doing differently to stay in alignment with my purpose? So yeah, be open, listen to kind of your innermost, what your body is telling you. Don't always listen to what your mind is saying. And life is one big adventure. Don't let yourself get stuck. Go find your next adventure.
Beautiful. Yoshi, thank you so much for these wonderful words of wisdom. Truly, these are great recommendations, great suggestions, great advice, and indeed for anyone at any phase of their Reiki business, whether they're just considering it, starting out, or they've been in business for many years. This truly has been a lot of great encouragement for everyone along their path. So to you, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. Such an honor to have you listen in on this episode of the Reiki Business Collective. Thank you so very much, and blessings to your Reiki journey. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, and join in the conversation at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz, B-I-Z. Blessings and best wishes for your Reiki journey.